Okay, in the spirit of playing to our strengths, we said with the Ultrea that everybody here has gifts and abilities, and we're all good at various things. So we say in Happy New Year, and we still in the Christmas season. Yesterday was Epiphany, and the season runs through the baptism, right? Baptism of our Lord, which if you're stateside, that's going to be Sunday, but if you recognize Universal Church, that's going to be a week from yesterday, going to be Wednesday. So depending on, those of the traditional bent get a few more days of Christmas, right? So that's not a bad thing. But after we do all the celebrating and everything, then it's time back to reality. Back to reality. Some people are really good about celebrating and all. I'm good about back to reality. So let's do 2016. What I want to talk about is some goal setting. It's a good time to look at that. And so, I know we're kind of on the heels of Christmas and holidays, and like I said, I'm good at back to reality. I don't mind doing a little celebrating and recognizing the holy days of the year that the church gives us. But then, how was everybody's holidays? We okay? We were okay? Everybody ate enough? We're okay? Okay, now, so New Year's, what does everybody normally do for New Year's, right? What resolutions do? And I'm not going to ask you what they are, but anybody made any resolutions? Anybody? Okay, so we have a few people. We have a few forward-thinking people that are making resolutions. And that's a good thing. I admire that. I think it's a good thing to be proactive. And we're going to talk about that with setting goals and why those resolutions aren't always so resolute and how to possibly overcome that. And then, just the whole idea of goal setting. So it'll be, not too heavy duty tonight, a little things you probably already heard, but, a little light fare tonight so we could ease back into reality here. And a little bit of what I'm going to share includes an endeavor that we're in the midst of. At the end of the year, we recorded a 7-8-part series that is in production. And that was a good almost 2 hours of recording, so each a good 12 minutes or so they were averaging. So, and that's kind of in stealth mode for now until it's on the first half of the book, and then we'll of the book that I wrote, and so you're going to get a little sneak peek on some of that stuff here tonight, and once it's published, and we'll use it for promo. And the book is on Catholic masculinity, and so and targeted towards some of the younger guys that's moving into adult stage and that kind of thing. But point being that we all need to be on the same page. Whenever we getting into marriage, and as a couple, we need to make sure we stay alongside each other, and that when we're setting goals about what our life is going to look like together, that we stay in contact and stay in communication. So the phrase I keep using of Jim Rohn's over and over and over again is, if you don't have a plan to become part of somebody else's plan, and what do they have planned for you? Not much. And it just keeps coming into my mind, and I just want to keep using that because it's true. And our goals, it's all part of a process, right? So our goals help us to execute that plan. We keep the master plan in mind, and we keep updating it and revising it, because what life changes on us, right? Things shift. And one thing about it, I'm noticing that as, we have adult children now as well as little kids, and we shuffling through these different stages of life, moving through. And then, like I said, we have to update the plan and revise goals and make allowances for different things that come along. And I find that where we are now, I was looking back at some of the material I used to go through, because I continue on self-development as I go. But some of the things I used to use are kind of totally different from what I'm using now. But it's fun to, I made Cursillo at 33. That was 14, almost 15 years ago. And at the same time got into real estate, and just seeing what I had to do then just to get the ball rolling, it took a lot of work. There was that picture I saw on Facebook the other day of this glacier, and it says, what people see, the results. And then there's this big mass of ice way down underneath of all the hard work and the defeat and the rejection and all the things, the struggle, the redos and all this that you have to go through. And, people just see that, always it's so good, but and that's all good because it's all growth. All that is good to go through. But I find where we are now is that we got a good bit of momentum going after all that, what we did. And if you ever saw that old demonstration Zig Ziglar did with that water pump, and he was just pumping and pumping and pumping, and like nothing was coming out. And then, once he finally got it primed, then it's just a steady, so some of the guys on the younger side of things, just getting things going, it might take a lot of pumping to get it going, and a lot of retries and redos, but it's all fun, just have some good time with it. So I enjoy seeing some of the younger guys, that the light bulb goes off and they click and they see, oh, this is the possibilities. These are the things I could do. And then they start getting to work on it. But looking back, I'd have to say, boy, if I didn't make some of those changes and if I've remained a part of somebody else's plan, how different our life would look now. So, real thankful for the mentors that came along into my life and the group of people that I've been around all this time to keep us on track. So when we setting goals, we want to let's talk about the what. What are the goals going to be? And I guess I can ask this now if y'all might want to give me some ideas. But the resolutions, if we talk about resolutions, and again, I'm not going to ask you what yours are, but what are the common resolutions that people are going to make? I'm thinking of two. I mean, somebody give me one. What's a resolution? Lose weight. That's one of them. What's another one? Money. Okay, money and weight. I mean, that's usually the two that are automatic. That are going to be really common. Okay. And I'm going to talk about both of those in various ways later on. But what the nice thing about those is that they're easy to measure. Okay? And that's an important part of goal setting. But I'm going to challenge us to address some of the finer points. Okay? And let's cut to the chase and get to family life. Where the areas, and that's why I'm going to encourage us to communicate, especially those of us who are married with our spouses, about areas that we need to firm up on. None of us are perfect. Things change, like I say. I mean, we all go through life, and we need to shore up some things. So let's communicate and talk about, okay, where are the areas where we're falling down, where we're weak. Hi, Father. Everybody stand up and greet Father, please. All right. Welcome, Father. So let's communicate about these finer points. We might say, well, we need to encourage the kids to have better attitudes, to be kinder to each other, to be more respectful. That's hard to measure. You know, and how do we know if, you know, how much progress we've had them make, you know, over 3 months, 6 months, 6 weeks? It's a challenge. It's not an easy thing, but we have to be able to see, and, you know, and those of us with large families look at each kid and say, well, you know, and then within the marriage itself, you know, where areas that we need to, you know, we might need to spend more time together, more time talking. I might need to spend, as a father, might need to spend more time with the kids, or doing things with them, or, you know, guiding them spiritually, whatever the case may be. But again, these are not those clear-cut, you know, measurable things like, you know, how much weight am I going to lose, and, you know, how much money am I going to save. It's a little more difficult. The area I want to talk about on moving into, if we want to say weight or health, is just and this is in the book, but how important it is to make sure we're taking care of ourselves, taking care of the body, of the physical. Because when I was, I think, 19, my dad had a heart attack and had to have bypass surgery and the whole thing. That was a good time for me to see that. Not that it was a good, it was horrific, but he lived another 21 years, so that was thank God for medical science, you know. But that was a wake-up call to me to say that is a risk factor. They talk about the risk factors in heart disease. That was a risk factor I couldn't do anything about, a direct line from my dad to me. Family medical history. So I said, well, I can't do anything about that factor, but there's some other factors I can do something about. And so I never backed off on that. And the thing about when we take care of ourselves, as Jim Rohn says, you know, the temple of the Holy Spirit, it's not a woodshed. It's the temple of the Holy Spirit, and let's take care of ourselves, is the domino effect both ways. You know, when we've taken care of ourselves, you know, the amount of energy we have, the amount of focus we have, the sharpness of mind we have as a result of that. You know, in those of us in the competitive working world, you know, it's competitive. You know, and being healthy and having all that advantage, it has a domino effect on all other areas of life. You know, because how are we going to keep our spiritual commitments? How are we going to do our job at work? You know, how are we going to take care of our relationships with our family and with our friends and serve the church, the whole bit, you know, being members of the community? You know, if we are having health issues, and again, some things we can't do anything about, right? Just like I was saying about family history. So, but some things we can, you know, and then it's whenever we might have some kind of a issue, then we need to be that much more concerted in our efforts. If we do have, you know, some type of ailment that we have to deal with, but it works in reverse also. You know, if we're not taking care of ourselves, you know, and our health isn't up to par, how does it affect our relationships, our work, you know, money? You know, if we're not working and we at the doctor's office, you know, or, you know, buying medication, the whole bit, to the extent we have control over it, okay? And that's mainly what I'm talking about. So it's something interesting to observe and to see and to keep in mind. And where we don't want to be is, over the years, I've been in this, over in Houma, in a group, a running and walking group is a health, you know, and they would put on competitions and things, you know, for races and all. And you'd see people gradually coming in and coming out, joining up and participating and all. But where we don't want to be is where we've had to get into it because we are required by a physician. You know, so it's after the fact, after they had the heart attack, then they decide, okay, the doctor says I gotta start exercising. That's not where we want to be. We want to be proactive. We want to be on top of it. Let's shift to money a little bit, and this is a little different twist on things because, right, the automatic easy one is to set, we set a goal. And we say, okay, I want to have, this year I want to save $10,000 to be able to by December 31st to be able to invest in my first rental property or something like that, some goal, And that works, but here's something else to consider, and that's how I say, changes in the plan, so I'm not part of somebody else's plan, and what helped me along the way. Because when we have a job, we're working for someone, and it's a different way of looking at things. Then that's real secure, right? And so we got this steady income coming in, and then our job is to direct those funds where we want them to. We don't want it out of control where it's just going all over the place. We got a certain amount coming in, and we want to tell it where to go, right? That's how we're in control. And that's going to determine our behavior. That's going to determine some of the things we do. Because, it's hard to do something without money. But I've had the opportunity for the last 11, 12 years to be self-employed. And so it's a little backwards. We look and say, well, these are the things that I want to do. And it's going to require this amount of money. And so that's how much I'm going to decide to make. And that's how much time I'm going to spend doing that. You're a lot more in control. And the other part about it is, you look at what's going on in the economy right now. A lot of people are getting laid off. But what happens as being self-employed, what I call, it's a different way of looking at it, it's being diversified. Okay? I have not just one employer, I got plenty of employers, so if one of them lays me off, I still got all these others that are still coming in. So you're not locked into one thing. Now, if you get laid off, just go get another job. That's normal, But again, something to consider, a different way of looking at it. And what I'm saying, we're going to talk about planning and long-term goals and things, is that it took a while to get there. So part of your goal planning and seeking might be to say, well, that's where I want to go over the long term. But you got to start that ball in motion right now. Like I said, that water pump takes a while to prime. Deal about it, though, is that it requires a lot of discipline to do your own thing. And so, may not be there yet, but all these other areas that we have to work in are tools to help us acquire that self-discipline and be able to get there someday. Because again, our makeup as a person is dynamic, and everything affects each other. And as we go through, these goals will come more and more into focus as what we'd like to do. And in the remaining time, I just want to talk a little bit about the actual mechanics of executing the goals, or executing whatever task it's going to take to reach the goals. So again, at the beginning, setting the goal. Okay, what does it have? It has to be measurable, and it has to have a date on it. Like I said, 10,000 by December 31st, something like that. So that's the kind of goals we're looking at when we say, and again, we got to know what we're shooting for. We got to know what our target is, and then we set the goal to reach it. The common example I use over and over again is that little office building. I wanted to have it built by December 31st, 2009. And I got pictures of me and my sons walking my furniture in there on December 31st, 2009. We lose every day we had there, but it got done. Had to get done. Y'all probably have been there. On the back table is a sheet like this. And I use this to accomplish that goal and many others since. So it's just it's a power tool. It's a very powerful tool. You know, if you want a power tool, there it is. But the basic thing of the little gimmick is, you know, you write down the goal and you look at it every day and you read it. And then there's a trick, or he says that he calls it the difficult part, is that you know, because like I said, life happens, right? You know, and you're trying to get something done and you get all these distractions and obstacles that come in the way. He says, stop thinking about what it is that you fear. Each time a fearful or negative thought comes into your consciousness, replace it with a mental picture of your positive and worthwhile goal. And that's what has to happen. Mind control. Our mind is very powerful to be able to control our thoughts and direct them toward where we want them to go. So he puts on here, try it. 30-day test. You just try it out. You're at the beginning of a year. Try something new. But I've used, again, like I said, in various ways, I've used it over and over again. Because there's going to be distractions that are going to come in our way. The world's going to get in our way. And we have to take control and make sure we push those distractions out. The goals we want, like I said, you know, we're talking about here, this would be, if we setting goals for this year, you know, we say, we'll get with our spouse and say, what we want to do this year? What we want 2016 to look like? What we want to accomplish? That'll be a short-term goal. So you want to divide them up, short-term, mid-term, long-term. Short-term, 1 to 3 years. Mid-term, 3 to 5 years. And long-term, 5 to 10 years. You know, so I was real bold before we got married. Set a quantifiable goal, 10 kids. Don't look like we're gonna make it. But, you know, quantifiable goal, long-term goal, right? Long-term goal. But hey, you gotta be ambitious. So, but, you know, all these others, you know, as far as, you know, money and health and weight and all that, you know, might want to run a 15-minute 5K, right? There we go. Set a goal. That's fast. So why don't people do this? Why, you know, why do people get caught up in? Because it's not easy. You know, it's not easy to think 5, 10 years out. It's a challenge. It's hard. It's worth it, though. You know, once you start seeing, you know, talk to people that got the results that you'd like to have and see and ask them how they got there. It's probably not by accident. It's probably not something that fell on their head, you know. It's probably something that they deliberately made happen. And then, after we set them, then executing. This is some neat stuff I came across. Again, various little development programs. And with the developing of, you know, of moving toward a goal, we form habits. Michael Littman was one. He said, I like this phrase he coined: people form habits, habits form futures. Stop and think on that one. And then think about somebody that might have formed bad habits and what kind of future that gave to them. So it works both ways. And funny thing about it is, those bad habits are a lot easier to form than the good habits. But again, it works both ways. People form habits, habits form futures. Now, the idea of the habit, there's a program out there called Power Habits by Noah St. John. And it's a good read. It's pretty powerful. and this is why so many resolutions aren't so resolute, is that, yes, it takes 21 days to form a habit. I know y'all heard me say that before. It's good to remember. Because what happens, right? We hit New Year's, and we make these resolutions. And then we're all excited, we're all pumped up. We get into the first week of it, and we start doing it. And, you know, we're excited. We get through that first week, and then what happens? The weekend. And we want to slack off. We want to let up a little bit. And then what happens? Monday. Monday comes again. You know, and so that, but we said we're going to do it, so we're going to do it. And we start Monday, and we start that second week of whatever it is saving money or losing weight, whatever it is. And we're on track. But then, you know, the kid gets sick, or he cuts his finger, or the boss gets mad at us, or something. You know, all kinds of things throw us off track. And so we're struggling through that second week, and what happens? The weekend comes again, and then Monday, and then usually about a third week, over. If you just hang on 5 or 6 or 7 more days to get to day 21, wow, then we'd have formed a habit. And what happens is, who can ride a bike? All right, who can drive a stick shift? Okay, and what happens? It moves from the conscious to the subconscious, and we don't have to think about, mash the pedal, and let up easy. Nope. We don't have to think about steadying ourselves on a bike. Because why? It moved from the conscious to the subconscious. And that's what happens with this. You prime the pump. You got momentum. It's going. You know, you've made a habit. A couple other things. Bad habits. You can't just stop a bad habit. You got to replace a bad habit with a good habit. So I like that because that's what multitasking are. It's a 2-in-1, right? It's 2 for 1. You know, so you're stopping something bad and starting something good. But it's just, the guy did a good job putting this program together. This is mental science. This is the way the human body is made, and it's going to work. It just works that way. And the other thing is that the mind doesn't know the difference between a good habit and a bad habit. So it just knows to keep doing whatever you trained it to do. So if you're stuck into something bad, don't blame your mind. It's just the way it's been trained. So you got to train it to do something different. And finally, just to bring it home and to make it all, fill in the rest, is, you develop those habits into a rule of life. And I'm big on scheduling, so you plug the big rocks into your calendar, whether it be by day or by week or by month. And you said we're going to cover all these things, and it's like St. Benedict had a rule for his monks, and we all have a rule for our only whole family monastery. About what the way we're going to live, and we're going to cover all these big things on a regular basis. We're going to make this many masses, or we're going to pray at this time, and that's pretty much how we make it happen. So let's communicate, talk to our significant other, our families, and make some plans, set some goals, and let's have a good 2016. God bless you.